Welcome, welcome. My name is Solange Ellen and I'm recording this child protection support group meeting from Nadri Nation, Sandy Creek. And I'm here with Donna Markwell and Phil and Steph and Joe. We're all on this call today. And this is the third time that we've met weekly on a Wednesday at 12 to be able to shine some light really on the realities of what is passing as child protection under the government-run child trafficking scheme, which is really the reality. And we need to hold it in the light, be talking truth, holding our own community audits and investigations, and making it safe for people to be able to join this conversation. So I really want to thank you who are present on the call, and also those of you that are watching and sharing these recordings as well, because this is really important. The more that we can get honest information out to empower parents, the safer our children are going to be. And that's what we're going to talk about today is prevention. So I want to hand over to you, Donna, and if you can give us a bit of an update on where you're at and where Takara's at in your process of beginning to heal.
Yeah, thanks, Solly, and welcome everyone. We really appreciate your time for being here and, like Solly said, unpacking this on another level that we believe DCP and docs have not heard before, calling it out for kidnapping, calling it out for holding these children hostage. And I can only imagine what these poor parents and children went through over Christmas, being separated and not even being able to speak to their loved ones at that precious time, and into the new year. It's truly heartbreaking, and they're all on holidays having a wow of a time, thinking they've done a great job, which is really in itself quite shocking. So the prevention of it would be back to the before we proceed video, which is knowing your standing and not having contract with them, saying and understanding that they don't have jurisdiction over you as you stand under the divine crown on and acknowledging the nation that you're on. So again, we're calling them out on jurisdiction, but it's that they've got no contract with you. You're outside of their jurisdiction. So before we proceed is a YouTube that we made back in January 2020, February 2020, when they tried to initially come and kidnap Takara. We've still got fallout from that. We do know what they do. They do little tricks like that. And one of the things they said when they came on Wednesday, the 27th, they turned up with 30 police down at the old common law court, South Australia. And unbeknownst to me, until many days later, they turned up with 30 police. And they actually said, yeah, we've been trying to get this girl, Takara, for ages, since we sort of thwarted their plan back in January that same year. They've been trying to double down and just waiting for some crazy notification to come in so they can act on it. So again, it's that they're acting on notifications that are unsubstantiated, that can be malicious, that can be from people who have mental disorders. And this is really, I think, the first part that needs to be looked at with DCP and docs is how they're taking their referrals. Anyone can ring up and say literally anything without having to substantiate anything. They really should be taken under oath, and they should be taken under the penalty of perjury, because it's massive fallout for false notifications. And to know that when they turn up, you say, where is your certified, verifiable cause of action? Not just turning up with a notification or we've been told. It's a hearsay notification. Even sometimes it goes through 2 and 3 parties before it actually gets to docs or DCP. I know, because I've been a mental health nurse, community mental health nurse for many years, and a mental health nurse for 30 years. And by the time we used to get notifications, it'd go through central triage, it'd be written by someone else, it'd be read and written by someone else, and finally get to, the caseworker, and you'd do your background. We'd ring them and we'd ring family, and we'd try and unpack it before they'd sort of take the notification as serious and before we'd start acting on it. But DCP seemed to be under their whole own little rules, which is way out of rule of law, and they're way out of their jurisdiction doing this to people. So to know your standing again is very powerful. And if you're getting tip-offs or starting to get any sort of notifications from DCP, if they're starting to contact you, they tried to do mental health on me, and I was able to say, thank you for your offer, but I have no contract with you and I don't consent. Thank you, bye. Bonk. So that's literally, they'll try and pull the mental health card, they'll try and pull the drug use card and everything like that, but none of them work really in the end, because they have no jurisdiction over us to be able to order us around like slaves. So it really is knowing your standing again and calling them out. Do you have a certified, verifiable cause of action, or are these just malicious rumours? So we do hope that my case has set precedent with this. We do hope that people will be able to use my case and start using the correct dialogue. No, you're not coming to kidnap my child. No, you're not going to take my child and hold her hostage. That's the prevention side of it. But again, if they do get your child, and like I said, they turned up with 30 police to an address that I wasn't even at and didn't even live at. They turn up and tried to take Takara on the 27th of October 2021. And it wasn't until the next day, where I was actually going to the police station for assistance to get my caravan out of a troubled situation, where instead of them giving me assistance, they actually kidnapped Takara and did this whole disgustingness for 36 days. And it was still only last night that Takara is still crying and falling to pieces about what she's been through. We're emotionally clearing it still, giving her reassurance. But what seems to have happened, the children are already in a traumatic state, and then they're put in houses with other children who are traumatized. So this is another whole thing. Now she just hates younger children. So we're trying to really clear that and move through that. We're really moving into harmony and peace a lot more now. And I'm finding that that whole surrender to the divine in harmony and in peace is a great freedom. So I really just want to say, please don't get caught in the trap where you continue to hate them. I understand you hate them and are fearful of them for a time, but do your best to surrender that over, because I must say that we are both in a much better position as we're working through the art of surrendering and the art of forgiveness, but they will still be held to account and justice will still prevail.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you. So from what you just shared then, I wanted to touch on a few things. One is that the targeting is very deliberate and specific. So in their operations, they're targeting often just vulnerable, easy pickings. So people that they deem to be quite isolated and already in families that are suffering from, you know, a lot of trauma and hardship, so that they can come and steal the children without the family being able to mount a strong defence for themselves. They also target specific bloodlines, we know, of the First Nations people. So, you know, these satanic pedophile cult members are right into their genetics. They love it. So they're always messing with people's genealogy, taking samples and targeting specific bloodlines. This is something that the general population has no idea about. And, you know, we need to start bringing this out into the conversation, because it's reality, it's truth. They know that the original sovereign people are the true sovereigns of the First Nations, and they are the law holders here. So they are the antidote to this absolute criminality of this beast system that has come and laid false claims to every, you know, to the land and to the people. They have no legitimacy here. They are trespassing, criminal corporations trespassing here, and they know it. So they view the original sovereign people as an enemy that needs to be destroyed, and they are systematically targeting specific bloodlines and trying to destroy, you know, the original sovereign people, so that they can continue their slave system without any you know, lawful remedy. They're trying to get rid of the lawful remedy. So
and they of course don't want your homeschooling as well, and they don't want you, they will target you more as a single parent, and well, that's what we've noticed, and homeschoolers.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
they can't keep an eye on you. They can't keep an eye on you. That's what one of the Joyce Clark quotes. We can't keep an eye on you if you're not in our school system.
Yeah, we can't have children that are being loved and enabled to actually develop as natural human beings in loving, holistic homes and communities, because they don't make very good slaves. So that's what this is about destroying the natural family and the natural community connections and putting people into this system of control where everyone can be indoctrinated and put through their slave training, and they can maintain this trauma-based mind control and learned helplessness. So the other thing I wanted to touch on, Donna, was that the system will create its own notifications. So you don't even have to have a notification come in from some random busybody that has taken it upon themselves to decide that you're not a suitable parent and they should call in the authorities that they don't know. They don't know those authorities. They don't know if those authorities are sacrificing babies in cult meetings on the weekend. They don't know if those authorities are part of pedophile rings and child trafficking. They have no idea. They just get on the phone, ring up some complete strangers to make a notification about someone that if they do need help, they could have gone and offered some help to. So the busybody notifications need to stop as well. But even without that, the system workers themselves and the system will generate its own fraudulent notifications and claims against your family and your children. So like you, Donna, where you went to police with evidence to ask for assistance and then they turned on you and stole Takara. I'm aware of another mum, same thing. She was in a situation of, domestic disturbance where she called police for help in that moment. And as a result of that, police, they put a notification into DCP, and DCP came and stole her 3 children that were safe. And 2 years later, she doesn't have them back. And we know about another mum, same thing. She had removed her child from the mainstream schooling for a number of legitimate reasons and was working through the medical system. And the medical system then raised a flag to send to DCP, who wrote themselves a permission slip to steal her son without ever having met the mum or met her son. And they've still got him. So, understanding that this system that profits from the theft of these children and all these system workers all sharing the resources and the children around amongst themselves, they're all part of an organised crime establishment. So when they're making these allegations without any evidence, they don't need evidence. They just write themselves a permission slip and turn up at your door with a bunch of strangers and guns and say, give us your child. We need to see that for the absolute child trafficking criminality that it is and start talking about it like that, and make sure that all of the parents and the grandparents and the aunties and the uncles know that these criminal corporations have no lawful right to steal your children, and you are under no obligation to hand your children over to strangers at any time for any reason. That is not the law here in the sovereign First Nations. We are operating under divine and natural law, which is the true law, and they are operating under some maritime admiralty fictional fraud that is a slave system made up so that they can make these false claims and steal the land, steal the children, steal our lives, steal our family members, put people in cages. It's disgusting, and we all need to be talking about it and finding real solutions that actually put humanity and protecting our children back at the heart of who we are and how we organise ourselves.
And especially now that they've got all those poor children that are under guardianship will now be forced to take. I'm sorry, they have to well be take the injection.
Well, that's absolutely fucking disgusting. And all of these people, these weekend warriors that keep turning up to their freedom rally after freedom rally after freedom rally, need to all be down at your local DCP or whatever the child trafficking department is in your particular area. Go to those places and instruct those workers that they are not to poison our children. Because all those children that they've stolen that don't have their families to protect them, they are our collective responsibility as a community. They're our children, they belong to us, and we need to protect them. So all of this freedom community that's so worried about your own medical freedom, start thinking about these other people that are in the system and in the cages too, all the people in prison being forced, you know, and lied to. It's up to us that still have the ability to have a voice, to be the voice for these people that have no voice.
And we know one of the side effects is that it's going to cause sterility, and already has caused sterility, you know, and to give it to, you know, young children that still have the chance to have a life is really outrageous. It's it remains untested, and we know that it has a lot of side effects. So there's a lot of blood on their hands, put it that way.
Yeah, well, we have already given public lawful notification to Kathy Taylor and to Joyce Clark here, and they will be personally held to account for any deployment of that bioagent against the children here. And yeah, they will.
Rachel Sanderson, the minister.
Yep.
The Minister for Child Protection, who I still haven't received any calls from, haven't received any calls or from Rachel Sanderson, Kathy Taylor, Joyce Clark. No, the 29th of October, I got told on the DCP notification line, oh, just wait for Joyce to call you back. Still waiting, Joyce. Actually, don't bother. Just give me my discharge letter and just go away. Thank you for going to court and revoking the court orders that you put in. Appreciate that. And we know that you changed no custody. You basically did nothing. You mitigated the risk. No, you didn't. You just let me and Takara go on our way. So please don't try and think all you did was damage.
Oh my goodness. They caused massive harm and loss. Massive harm and loss. And that is their business as usual method of operation. And that's what we as a community need to come together in unity to say enough now. Enough of that. You know, if you're the only reason for anyone to be making any kind of intervention in anybody else's life is to offer real assistance, help. If you're not helping, fuck off. Don't come.
And they can't show any emergency. Where's the emergency? Every case that come to us down at CLCSA, there was never an emergency. There was never a life-threatening emergency, or the child was going to bleed out, or no one had done anything. It was all a big nothing burger every single time.
Yeah, and the other side to that, Donna, as we know too, is when there are children that are genuinely in really toxic environments where they are being abused, they're very often left in those situations. So we have parents that know that their child has been placed with an abuser, and they try to report this, you know, through all the official channels. And instead of assistance, they get, oh, so sad, too bad. We're going to leave them there where they're being abused, and you're just going to have to live knowing that your child's being abused. And no one's going to help you in that. Sure. More of the learned helplessness.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to say something, Steph?
No, I just amazed.
Yeah, well, we've got video evidence of that even happening with, you know, the fathers going to jail, video evidence of them sexually abusing the children. And, you know, who's held account? Big fat no one. Not DCP who put them there, like you're saying. Well, they absolutely are in jail as well. If I did that as a nurse and I was that neglectful as a nurse, you'd have your license taken from you. See, the social workers don't have any APRA or any license. Not that APRA is any great thing anyhow, but they have no accountability, the social workers. They just do their little 3-year course and boom, that's it for the rest of their life. They can just go and do what they want. They're not accountable for nothing. No one ever holds them to account because no one really knows how to, unless we start calling it out as kidnapping, hostage holding. They freaked out with me using that dialogue. Used it in every meeting with them. And in the end, no custody change. I had to give my parents permission to bring Takara back on the plane. No custody change anywhere.
Yeah. So I think, you know, where we're at in terms of what are we going to do about this, what really needs to happen is humanity needs to get a conscience, and that includes all of the living men and living women who are currently operating within these systems. So the SAPOL officers and, you know, within DCP, within all of the systems of this corporate fraud, there are living men and living women, many who have been doing, you know, this job and following these terrible orders and corporate policies, being ruled over by pedophiles for a long time, and I'm sure have had enough. You know, they're there because that's their job, that's their lot in life, that's what they've trained for, and that's where they get their paycheck so that they can keep their house and keep their family fed. But they're actually committing crimes. That's not good for anyone, not good for the individuals that are actually participating in it, and not good for our community as a whole. So we need to restore conscience, and so we need the people that still have that capacity for conscience, you know, to start speaking truth and start acting on what is not the corporate policy, you know, not what some false authority is sending down the chain of command, because all of this criminal fraud is false authority. It has no real jurisdiction of law. So when they're giving you corporate policies and saying this is an order, that's a criminal order. Don't follow that. You don't follow criminal orders. That makes you a criminal. That makes you complicit in the crime. What you need to be doing is getting together with the other people that are good humans, honest people around yourself, and working out what you can do within your position to actually help people. Use the resources to help people. And then if you have somebody in the mix that is trying to sabotage that or tell you, no, sorry, we can't help, we can't intervene, they're a criminal. Let's hold them to account. Let's just
20 a day, the original liaison officer, Aboriginal liaison officer from Youth Court in Adelaide said 20 a day cases come through. He confirmed what you're saying. He said the children that do need help, they just kick to the curb, they don't help. And then they are targeting high functioning families. Now, I'd love for him to be able to link with the other around Australia, all the original youth workers and original advocates that are in these youth courts. Please start talking to each other, because I reckon you'll be singing the same song.
Yeah, that's
you'll be
right.
saying the same stuff.
Yep, compare notes and declare yourself a whistleblower. You know, bring your story forward, speak truth, go on the public record. Do not be afraid of losing your job, because all of you people that are actually doing the right thing or wanting to do the right thing are going to be protected by we the people. It's only the criminals we want to get rid of. So, you know, even for the people that have been bouncing out of the system because you don't want to participate in this evil anymore, you know, or you don't want to be forced into subjecting yourself to the experimental bioagent, or you don't want it on your conscience that you're helping to do that to other people. All of you people with a conscience, you are the higher authority. You are the higher authority. We, the people, are the higher authority. You know, the sovereign elders and lawmen and lawwomen, they're the ones that actually hold the wisdom to be able to help us to navigate this full restoration of divine and natural law. That's what we're in the process of. And it has to happen through us having honest conversations, peace talks. And that's what we want with SAPOL. That's what we want. We actually have asked for, you know, a meeting with Kathy Taylor, CEO of DCP here. We want to come in with Arnie Sandy and the elders. We want to have a sit down. We want to discuss how we shift this dynamic, get rid of all these ties to the criminal banking corporation and the bloody pedophiles that run it, and come back to we the people of the living land and what we need to put in place to actually protect our children and our vulnerable people. You know, if we're not talking about that, what are we doing? What are we doing?
It's the fear, and the fear turns to hate, and that's what I've noticed. Then you're in their boat. You've got the fear and hate going on. You're getting that poor energy field. You're getting that depleted heart. You're getting worn out. You're feeling like that's what I'm noticing. It's like we were talking about going on to a more peaceful harmony, breaking down that density with a different vibration. Because everything that we've been doing, except for what we did, is nothing's worked, has it? You're all using lawyers, all stuff like that. You can't stand in your own sovereign and your own 2 feet and your own divine crown on knowing what nation you're on. And you're using lawyers. Yes, you're in their slave system still. That was another big part. You must represent yourself, must know who you are.
Yeah, use your own voice as a living man or a living woman and just speak the truth plainly, because their whole fictional legal system has got a special deceptive language called legalese, which basically a bunch of criminals, fraudsters, made up to empower themselves and essentially say, oh, the slaves are too stupid to know what we're talking about, so we'll just talk amongst ourselves in our secret legalese language and pretend that we're their friends and we're trying to help them, but actually we'll be having a good joke amongst ourselves while we steal their children and their homes and, you know, everything that they work for, because they're too stupid to know our fraudulent language.
I've seen them do it. They go in before you and they're like, oh, hi, Joan. Oh, hi there. Oh, really? Oh, having a great little chat before the case starts. And then like, oh, another case is we'll put our little professional face on for a little while and pretend we don't have lunch every day, you know. and then, oh, yeah, see you later. Yeah, catch you for a game of golf. Beauty, love. It's just like, what was that?
Organised
We're not in that club.
Organised crime. That's what that was.
I've seen it in Peter's cases. I saw it in my own youth court case. It's like, what was that little thing that just happened there? And then even in the court case, they go, and they'll have their own little sort of conversation that, you know, it's like you can't even quite hear it. Like, what was that? Because when you're in the youth court, you're not even allowed up to their level. And they kept telling me, sit down. I'm like, I'm right, thanks. I think I can stand. You know, and then four sheriffs come around you like, what am I going to do? I'm like, I'm just standing. They want to intimidate you all the time. So, you know, get ready for that.
Isolate.
Yes. Can't bring any help into the youth court.
That's ridiculous. That's completely unlawful. Completely unlawful. You absolutely have a right to surround yourself with your own supporting witnesses, you know, and people that can actually provide you even just emotional support when you're going through something that's traumatic, as having to deal with this criminal court that has stolen your children and laid false claims to authority over your family. You absolutely have the right to have support with you to deal with that. So this idea that they can say, oh no, only the parents and no support unless you're paying for one of these criminal lawyers, you know, and
then I've heard the lawyers aren't even allowed in. Someone told me, the lawyer wasn't even allowed in at one stage. So I don't know what that was about.
Oh, well, they must.
Is it?
Did
you guys hear that?
Someone that was trying to genuinely help, because that's how they.
Do you want to mute, Steph, or do you want to talk? Did you want to mute, or did you want to talk to us?
No, I was just saying that I was absolutely. What's the word? Pleased with something that Solly said earlier about somebody that I'd given Solly a connection to, and it doesn't matter. But obviously Solly has met that person or spoken to her.
Yeah, bring people along to these, like spread the word. We'd love to have, there should be really. I'm surprised there's not 300 people in these meetings. What don't you care? I don't get it. Even don't show your face. Just turn up. Turn up to the, why is there 4 people in here? Like, how is there not 400?
Exactly.
I don't know. Is it really that frightening? Is it really that scary? I don't know. Just turn up even with with a blank page.
Now, if
you don't have to show your face.
Yeah, no, if they're not in Telegram, is it small enough now to send through Messenger or somewhere else?
Yeah, it's just a Zoom meeting. It's just a Zoom meeting link. We can.
Okay.
I put it on the Facebook exposing DCP and docs and that. I plastered it on their Facebook. You know.
Okay.
So I know this is only our third one, but still, a lot of people know about it. And if you're watching it, can you come to our next one? We'd really appreciate it. Now we've got a running one underneath. If you're watching this, Solly will post it so you can see what the link is for next Wednesday. Please come along. We want to be with you and help you. It's not fun for us.
Yeah, we've got to build community. You know, we have to build the strength in our unity, you know, so that we are, as a collective, really clear on our values, you know, that we, the people, expect all system workers to follow the honestly informed will of we, the people, and to respect the real law here in the Sovereign First Nations, which is about protecting the sanctity of the child and of the family and of community. So this is really where we're at for all of us as individuals. You know, the corporations and even the money, all of it is a made up fiction. All of it is fraud on digital screens and paper. None of that is real like we are. We are real. We're flesh and blood, men and women of soulful substance of this living earth. So we're real. And so together, our honestly informed will and what is genuinely in the best interest of we, the people, is, and what we agree to together is the law, not what some criminals that wrote something on a piece of paper to suit themselves and their criminal mates came up with. That's not the law. That's a fraud. And what we need to do now in the sorting of the wheat from the chaff is everyone needs to ask yourself, as a living man, as a living woman, where do you stand? Where do you stand? Like, on which nation, firstly of all? Wake up, where are you? Where do you stand and what do you stand for? And who do you stand with? Do you stand with we the people for real child protection and protection of the vulnerable and protection of our living earth? Or do you stand with the corporate fraud because you're loyal to magical tokens and made up rubbish that is not going to save your soul? You know, and this is about souls now. This is where we're at.
We're on eternity time now, and we know that. So remember, you're on eternity time. Your youth workers, your social workers, or your cops. Alison, who's still off. She was one of the CPS workers. She's still on annual leave. So yeah, no wonder you are.
Yeah, we know who you are. You're running out of time. So are we. We'll be on here next week. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We hope to see 50 people here next week, please.